All right, we are live. Happy Mob Day, everybody. Let's see here. Let me make sure. Good. Perfect. All right. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Hope everybody's doing well. As always, thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to watch the show. I got a big show prepared for you guys. Sebastian Rogers. Been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. Been working all morning, so I hope you guys are ready for some interesting stuff. And as always, thank you guys so much for the love and support in the chat. You guys are amazing, and of course, huge shout out to my wonderful mods who make this community so wonderful. Oh, thank you. Yeah, got the haircut. It was a little overdue for one. Let's see. Quickly, just before we get started, guys. Let's see. All right. This is Aiden Clune. Most of you may know him. Some may not. He went missing 3 years ago. It was in April 27th, 2022. Won't go over the whole story, but I do have a video if you want to check it out after the show. But anyway, sadly, he was possibly dealing with some mental health issues. Ended up leaving his home in California, in Sonoma, and ended up here in actually Utah. Was going to stay with some family here, and then he was kind of experiencing some paranoia. He ended up going west from here, ended up in the border of Utah and Nevada, in Wells. And then in the morning on the 27th of April, he drove south. And then at some point in the morning, he pulled over on the side of the freeway there and ended up wandering into the Cherry Creek mountain range. It's a very vast open desert with mountain range in there. And they tracked him for a while when they finally found out that he was missing, but they were just kind of like days behind him. Long story short, many searches have been conducted, including myself and many others. The main thing to point out is if he's out there, I think they could find him. We found his shoes last year. It was a really big breakthrough. We really thought we may have, would have brought some closure, because we thought after we found the shoes, we may have come across Aiden, but unfortunately that was not the case. But anyway, they're going out there at the end of this month, May 31st to June 1st or June 2nd. Where is it at? Oh, up at the top. Yeah, May 31st, June 1st. I think it's Saturday and Sunday, but I think the family's going out there on Friday. So anyway, there's the QR codes. One's for the Facebook group. I'm sorry, gosh. I'm trying to make it so you guys can see it here. And it's not behaving. There we go. So we have the Facebook group, the TikTok, and then if you'd like to support, there's a GoFundMe there. But again, I've been searching with them every time they've gone out, and I know that money will go to good use. So, but it would be so amazing if he is out there, because again, I can't imagine what the family is going through, especially after finding the shoes last year, being the first only evidence of Aiden in 2 years. So anyway, there's that. And let's get going here. Let me just make sure. Okay. All right. Let's get going. Yeah, it was kind of bittersweet in a way, because we found the shoes and then we thought we would have came across him, but was not the case. Again, it's a vast area, and I do have videos on our searches, many videos. All right, let me get this situated here. Okay. Oh, and thank you, Njaz, for the membership at the beginning. God bless you. Thank you so much. Always gifting memberships. That is so sweet. All right. As always, I want to show this car. Probably more important than ever now, in my opinion. Let me clear that. Of course, we have footage from a camera on Kellen Ave, and we'll get more into the context, but that's a 3 a.m. car. I don't know definitively if it was involved, but the timing of it is, a little suspicious. At the very least, maybe this person may have seen something if they weren't directly involved. But the car, again, I went over this in the last couple of lives. I fed it a lot of different angles for the AI to try to kind of give me the best idea of vehicle. The number one was the Toyota Camry. Next time I need to figure out what generation this is, and then it'd be easier to just say the generation. But between 2012 and 2017. The second one, it comes up as a Honda Accord with, I think, the same years. Let's see. And that's a Honda Accord. Yeah, so approximately about the same. And they look, both vehicles look pretty much, when you look at them like side by side, there's just some minute differences between the two vehicles. And when I ran the AI and everything, it kind of explained why I thought the Camry was at the top. But again, that's the vehicle that was seen at 3 a.m. the night that Sebastian Rogers went missing. And I think it's very important. Okay, so now we're going to move on. Okay, all right. Let me take a sip here, guys. All right, so I'll kind of breeze through most of this because this is what I kind of showed on Friday, and then we'll get into the newer stuff for today. Apologies. Okay, so if you're here on Friday, I did, of course, as you guys, most of you know, I've been breaking this footage down for what feels like years now. But as always, I'll take breaks from it, and then I come back and look at it, and I see something new that I didn't see before, such as the floodlights getting activated and more. And most recently is something that the lights do, which I think could explain what's going on if the abduction theory is true. So this is video 1. Now, one of the things I found out last week, which really surprised me, because I did have something wrong, which is we have the Nick Barris video, which is 1 minute 37 seconds. Then we have the 3 clips that were leaked out. Most of them are within 30-second range, and this is the first one. And when this first came out, I thought this was, in chronological order, I thought this was the first video kind of showing subject 1 moving, and then I thought the Nick Barris video fit into chronologically the second, where it just shows subject 1 and 2 now moving, but that is not the case. So of course, and this will come full circle here as well. So we got to keep this in mind because this gives us like a time thing as well. So again, so we have this video, the first leak video, and it starts just like this. It's dark. Now, second you start playing it, the first thing that comes on is the motion lights. You'll notice you can start to see the Dodge here and the trim of the window in the truck. See, there it goes. So that's the motion light getting activated. Now, clearly, nothing is moving at that particular point in the background, right? And that thing gets activated. So, in my opinion, I think that is the car with its headlights off, coming up, and it's triggering the sensor. And then we start to get subject 2 moving. But I did find more stuff out. It does, yeah. So right after it gets triggered, then we have movement, which is subject 2. I thought it was subject 1, which is right here, but that is subject 2. And what I learned last week we'll go over, but it's the direction that they go is interesting. So there's that clip. It's only like 30, or I think it's 47 seconds or something like that. This is Silver's on the scene. God bless him. Shout out to him. Both Silver's 1 and 2. This is where I think they let the 2 people out, subject 1 and or 2. And then, of course, I think they turned off their headlights. And then turn the corner here. And then, of course, as I pointed out on Friday, if you notice, the second they notice that they activate... Now, of course, the lights weren't sitting there. The sensor is over here. But, of course, they have since moved the lights, which is now under the security camera, which makes sense. Because they did have to get a new system. And that would make sense to have your lighting under where your camera is. So now your lights are pointing, out to help the camera. But notice when they instantly see it, notice they're right across from the mailbox. And as I told you before, they spoke to the homeowners last year and the homeowner came out and said, yeah, the vehicle was parked right across from the mailbox. Because that was probably right in the time that they activated it and stopped. And this is where the motion sensor is. Oh, you can't see it. Right there. And the lights used to be over here, in the video, but it clearly, after Sebastian Rogers Case, they clearly got a new system and moved the lights. So... what I learned last week, if you missed it, and again, I'm going to try to rush through some of this because I know you've probably seen this, but this is important. So I was looking at the Nick Bears video, and you can see the floodlights over here, but you can also see the truck once in a while as the camera's kind of dipping up and down. Right here, that's the truck in the driveway here. And something happens that caught my eye that gave me more context of where this fits chronologically. And as if you notice, all of a sudden, we keep our eye in the circle, and voila, all of a sudden we can see the top of the trim. And if we just go back one more time. Oops. No, it's just all of a sudden. Bam, it turns on. Right, so that told me, I'm like, oh, okay. I now know the chronological order. This video is Nick Bears' video, which is the longest out of all the 4 videos. Is 1 minute and 37 seconds. And this actually is... part of the fuller video, and the first video that was leaked out is just kind of somewhere right in the middle. That makes sense, and I'll kind of explain it. But anyway, so that was interesting. It was right there all along. I guess I was more focused on the lights. I knew this was the truck. But now that gave me more context of the order of the lights, which is cool. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, this is just the beginning. But thank you, Sheila. And, okay. So now I have the order. So in the full video is the first leaked video, which now knowing where it fits chronologically, it fits in the middle of kind of Nick Barris's video, right? So Nick Barris' video starts out before this this video, and then of course runs past it as well because it's longer. Now I think the reason why they leaked out this full video is, notice is as you hit play, right, a few seconds after you hit play, the motion light gets activated. I think that's why they're like, clearly, because I've seen this with other security footage in this case, where they start recording, either it's motion censored or they start recording because, there's, their motion light is detected. So, but anyway, what's also interesting, I got to take my glasses off for a minute because it's hard to see the dots. What I found interesting now knowing this is subject 1, because again, just before it goes off screen is when this full video starts, right? And it disappears, which is so interesting because we don't see it right here. I notice here I've got it overlaid the best I can. It's not 100%, but yeah, it's weird. Like subject 1 now is kind of just gone. We should see it kind of be moving, but it's not. So I have a theory on this. Thank you, Sherry. So just let this play for a second. So we see subject 2, and I apologize. We'll zoom back in here. But yeah, it was very interesting to see that subject 1, we don't really see it. And this is what I think happens. And then I'm going to show you guys, because I told you guys that I was going to do it like a tracer. I was going to track it. Because I think subject 1 and subject 2 kind of diverge a little bit. And I think this is very important to just understand the context of the possible abduction theory. And then, of course, we'll get into new stuff that I didn't cover on Friday. Kind of, again, coming full circle. So, again, I think it's possible maybe they use this crawl space door. We showed it on... I meant to grab a screenshot so I didn't have to do this. But you look at it, I'm guessing approximately 3 feet tall. Just looking at it, that is... I've been under a crawl space in a case in Texas, and I was claustrophobic. But yeah, that's a crawl space door. And I've seen the house that we did had a trap door that led into... I can't remember if it was I think it led into a hall, actually. But anyway... I think either they came over through the fence in the backyard or they came through the crawl space door. Yeah, I see some people saying that. I don't... It's tough because there's a lot of like trickling stuff over there, Teresa, on the right. It's tough to say. And I'll point some things out, but yeah, I don't blame you for seeing things because there's a lot of trickling stuff that is going on. So I'm going to show you something new that I didn't show on Friday that I told you guys that I was going to do. It took a long time to do, and it only, of course, well, I'll explain it here in a minute. But what I think happens here, because again, it's weird that all of a sudden subject 1 just kind of disappears. But when subject 2 keeps moving, it's still there. And I kind of explained this on Friday, but I'll show this a little bit more. But one more time, there's subject 1. And you'll notice, because remember, I've got it lined up. It's not like 100% lined up. It kind of like fades in and out because, of course, each video is being recorded by a cell phone and somebody's, arm's not, perfectly steady. But it is so odd that it just kind of disappears. And the gazebo would be more over like here, right? And remember, this is a floodlight to the home. And so I think this is part of the home is here, in my opinion. And I'll explain why that's important in this theory. And then we have subject 2, then of course kind of follows along. But seems to take a slightly different path. And we're going to show that right here. Okay. So here's the full video. Now, I showed you guys, keep in mind they have this blue border, right? In the Nick Barris video, right? And I think this, and notice the border on the bottom is much wider than the border on the top and side, which I thought was interesting. And keep in mind, clearly Nick Barris, so keep this in mind next time Nick Barris does an interview, he clearly knows that there's a car, right? But he's never mentioned that. But the reason I bring up the border is because even though there's the border there, when they probably ran this tracking, because you can run like, you can target an object that's moving right now with all these wonderful programs. So, you know, if I've got moving lights, I can run in my video editing program, I can, circle an object, however big I want, a person or down to a light, and then tell it to track it. And that's clearly what they did with these, and then they got the little circles. But notice, and I'll show you a much better thing that I was going to tell you that I was going to do that on Friday that I was going to show you on Monday. But subject 1, and it's so fast, but it darts. It kind of goes to the right, but then it like darts up, and you can see the tracker even going that way. And I'll slow it down here, and then this will explain why I think this is important. And then we have subject 2. Oh, I think this is where I slowed it down. So keep an eye on subject 1. And this is slowed down. But it, right before it goes out, and keep in mind, even though this border's here, remember, they've already ran this, it's going to go up an angle before it comes out. And it's fast. But watch it go up. See? And it's quick. It's quick. So I told you guys I was going to run a tracer to kind of show you guys. Because I think and here's me running the tracers. God, oh my God, this took like 3 hours, well, maybe 2 hours. And it's only like 2 minutes. But anyway, I'm tracking both of them. And then I'm like, God, I should do.
Now.
Actually, I found probably a better way to do this. But let me play this clip. Listen to Nancy Grace. I also went back to Nancy Grace's interview, and there's some things in that are going to line up with the whole complete thing once we get towards the end. Man, she had some. You could tell that she was onto something. So that's basically taking like little snapshots every time it moves.
We now don't believe that 2 flashlights were observed around your home. Is that correct?
Yes. You're very correct.
And of course, I know I played this before, but if you look at how quickly they answer that question, in my opinion, is a huge red flag.
We now don't believe that 2 flashlights were observed around your home. Is that correct?
Yes. You're very correct.
Okay. Question.
Yeah, just yeah, out of the three people, parents, or well, two parents and a stepfather, out of those three individuals, one was definitely at a jail. That his timesheet has been leaked out there, and of course those jails have cameras. Out of the three individuals, the person with the most rock solid alibi is Seth. Just keep that in mind. Anyway, I want to get off track here. So I did this thing first, but then I'm like, you know what? I think I have a better idea. And sorry. And so I did the same thing with subject 2, but then I'm like, you know what? I've got a better idea because this is taking way too long. Okay, so here, because the whole point of showing you this, so this is what I was going to tell you, is remember, I think they diverge a little bit. And remember, because of the dots and where we're at from the camera to where they're at, they're over 200 feet away. So, even let's say like subject 2 and subject 1 were this far apart, that could easily be, let's say it's 147 feet from floodlight to floodlight. So yeah, they could easily be 20 feet apart, like right here. Now keep in mind, what I'm doing right here is I'm overlaying two videos, right? So technically, these aren't when they're moving at the same time. But I wanted to show you guys their path. So keep in mind, this isn't like, them together real time. This is me showing which way they go at the same time with the two videos. So just keep that in mind, because I wanted to show you the direction they both go. So that's why you're kind of seeing me overlay, because remember, both videos are bobbing. So take a look at how subject 1, so here's subject 2's path. So there's, and this is its path. More diagonal. And notice subject 1 is right, and then remember, it's going to go up. And again, I know they're fairly close, but I'll explain this. It'll come together here.
Short time later.
Oh, sorry.
And it's very vague, but then you see one of the subjects moving quickly back through the common area.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so originally, all the parents and everybody was told it was garbage truck lights, right? And even they believed it, and then, of course, as more things came out, then they kind of was like, or at least on Seth's side, we're like, wait a minute, something's not adding up. And then, of course, on the other side, SF then, said, oh, well, I interviewed a guy, and it was a guy taking out his trash can at 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning, and he's got like a headlamp or a flashlight. I can't remember. It sounded ridiculous. So that's what they believe now. Okay, so moving on. And why I wanted to show this, and then of course we're gonna get to the new stuff here. But the reason why I wanted to show that is because what it looks like is subject 1 diverges slightly, and I think they go behind the first home, in my opinion. But subject 2 stays out invisible area here. And I think that's done on purpose. And originally, I thought out of the two subjects, if this was abduction, I thought subject 2 was the one possibly carrying Sebastian, maybe knocked out, or something. But actually, I think it's subject 1 that actually has Sebastian. And I think subject 2 is kind of just running behind and doing what I call the scout. And I'll explain why. Because remember, just after subject 1 had dipped behind the building is when the car comes around and activates the motion light. So I think this causes subject 2 now, instead of having to go between the homes, now has to kind of stand out and probably signal to the driver in some fashion, in my opinion. So here we have video 2. Now, what do you guys notice? We pointed this out on Friday. And this is huge. So this means that time has passed. Notice we can't see the trim of the truck. We can't see the lights, on the side of the Dodge, or I think this is a Dodge as well. And then the Challenger or Charger, I always get them mixed up because I'm dyslexic. Sitting here, we can't see the light. So, motion light, now, time has passed since the Nick Bears video and them splitting up. Notice we still have subject 2 now out there. And I think that's on purpose because remember, what we're going to see is this car now, it activated that motion light. And I think now they had panicked, right? So now they're sitting there waiting for this motion light to kick off, right? Because they now have attracted some attention. And I think that's also why maybe, we have subject 1 off the frame. Then we have, and again, this video it's a little bit longer, but it's paused. So keep in mind, so there has been time that has passed. This will be very important as we come to towards the end. So keep in mind, I looked up the average motion light sensor. I know they can go up to like 20 minutes, but I think the average is 1 to 5 minutes. I think this one's set up around 1 to 2 minutes, right? This is very important to keep in mind. So we'll say approximately 2 minutes have passed. And now the motion light has gone off. And what do we have? We have the guy or the driver now kick on the lights. Got to turn them back on the car. And now it's going to back up. But remember, now this video is paused. And they did that on a reason. For a reason, they wanted to pause it and zoom in. And of course, I don't think they were realizing that they weren't going to capture the car, right? Because, they just, the phone wasn't going to capture that light from the car. And just to remind you guys, see the lighting, we can see all of the truck here, and we can see part of the Dodge car here. And then as we switch to video 2, any second now, look how dark it is now. Look, we can't see the light, so that tells us now it has turned off. Oh, thank you, Patty. Oh yeah, I'm not perfect. I make plenty of mistakes, and I have no problem owning up to them. I am not perfect. So, and the whole reason that I think that clearly that they wanted to show this, obviously, and 2 reasons why they paused the video is obviously they wanted to pause it and zoom in with the phone and try to, get the car, because obviously if this was an abduction, they want to get the car and hopefully get, some kind of identifying features on it. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. I also think there's another reason why they paused it, because I believe, my theory is the second that car turns on, it's going to back up. So if you think about that, if the car then starts to back up, and remember, it's now going to kind of come towards the curve, that means it's going to actually, its headlights are going to now start to shine into the security camera. So you wouldn't be able to see anything. So, and that also backs up the theory that this car didn't probably drive forward, because then they would have probably played the video as it drives forward, because maybe you might see a license plate. But I think they knew where the cameras were at. I just think this driver didn't think about the motion sensor, and now you have subject 2, I think, now trying to communicate in some fashion with the driver, and that's why we still see subject 2 out there. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Yeah, if you can, please hit that like button. I promise you, I know some of this we went over Friday, but we're going to come full circle. But this is all important to bring everything together here. So again, I told you guys that the homeowner and the people I spoke to, especially one of them, are very honest. And the homeowner himself, they have a family. They're really nice people, of course. Please, no one bother them. But yeah, the people that I've heard that go up and have spoken to them said that, they're very friendly. Yes. What was the story about the timestamp on that video? On this video? I will explain that here in a little bit. Good question. Because I can tell you right now, just a little foreshadowing, which I already explained on Friday. It doesn't matter if that timestamp was frozen, because there's something else. Thank God for technology. All right. Let me finish the last part. I'll get to chat a little bit more. I apologize. I just kind of, because I know a lot of this I went on Friday, and I'm trying to kind of rush through it here. So again, we have subject 2, and which I called the scout. I thought it was originally subject 1, but it's I'm almost pretty positive this is subject 2. Now, we're going to play... Oh, this is... Okay. So again, overhead view, and how I think subject 1 went between the two homes, because this is where I think they originally were let out to go help collect Sebastian. And then either they had the first theory of maybe running the ditch, but then when the car... activated the motion light, I think that kind of panicked them, and that's when they decided to probably just move him back between the two homes, because it's super dark, the car can just back up. And that's what we heard many months ago. Feels like a year ago. But this is how I think they were positioned, somewhere approximately subject 1 kind of being between the home, with I think who had Sebastian, and then I think he had subject 2, who was clearly having to communicate with a vehicle, because obviously that is their transportation, and they got to see which way are we going, how are we getting to the car, and with the motion light, I think the car kind of got stalled because they activated the motion light. And I mean, if you think about it, it's no coincidence that in video 2 the motion light is now off, and that's when the car kicks on. If you think about it, they're like, oh shit. And keep in mind, so we'll say approximately 1 to 2 minutes had passed between that little incident, right? This is all important. This all come full circle. And then again, obviously you would need to maybe, I'm sure they probably had some signals. I highly doubt none of these people had phones on them. I think they were too smart for that, or they would have been caught a long time ago. I don't know if they'd be using Morse code, but they probably had a signal where they maybe, blocked the flashlight a couple times or whatever. I'm sure they had, I'm sure if this was abduction, this was kind of a well premeditated, which would lead into the frozen timestamp and all that. Okay. Let me get through this other part. I'll read chat, and then we got the new stuff.
Subject 1 with a light subject in the neighborhood.
So I'm going to play this because this is very important. Because keep in mind, Nick Barris, he has seen all of everything. He has more context than we do.
This one is getting the most attention, showing signs of activity around Sebastian's home the night he disappeared. You see 2 light sources, which we've circled to help you follow. For point of reference, the security camera was pointed toward the back of Sebastian's home in a common area. In the video, you see subject 1 with a light source in the lower right-hand corner. Then you see subject 2 briefly appear and move toward the first before that light source is covered or obscured by bushes. Subject 1, a few seconds later, then moves out of frame.
So a few moments later, right, which is very interesting. So it tells us whatever took place wasn't long, right? Few minutes, right?
Subject 2 briefly appear and move toward the first before that light source is covered or obscured by bushes. Subject 1, a few seconds later, then moves out of frame. Then, subject 2 reappears and follows subject 1 off screen. It's a short time later, and it's very vague, but then you see one of the subjects moving quickly back.
And it is fast. This thing, this will be another thing that I'm working on. I kind of showed it earlier, but I worked on it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to show that for another live. But man, the person that's running back is hauling butt.
Through the common area, and that is it. I know, there's not much to see here. You certainly cannot identify anyone, but those close to the investigation tell me the mere fact that there is now evidence that someone is in the area around Sebastian's home is significant.
And keep in mind, remember, he's only showing the zoomed in. He clearly knows, because he has, maybe 4 or 5 minutes of the video. He clearly knows that there's a vehicle, but he's not mentioning that. So, keep that in mind if he ever does another interview, because I know the last one that he did, he got creamed because, he kind of sounded, like I don't want to say a shill, but, him not entertaining the foul play was ridiculous, especially with what he knows. So now video 3 and then the new stuff. Now, this is something I forgot to mention on Friday. This is also just as important, right? Because remember, we're trying to kind of keep a mental time with all these occurrences with the motion light. So this is video 3. This is the last video. This is a video that shows the person running back. Now, what do you guys notice? Now, of course, this video is the worst quality of the 3, unfortunately. But what do you notice? The lights are now back on. So video 1 shows the motion light getting activated. Video 2, then clearly time has passed because the motion light has now deactivated. And then just as it's been deactivated, now the car turns on its lights. No coincidence there. Which means when it backed up, guess what it was going to do? It was going to set off the motion lights. So now, say everything's coming full circle. Now that clearly shows that there was an object, obviously the car, now that backed up again and clearly triggered the motion light sensor. Yes, we'll talk about that as well. That is going to be like the main thing. I think, in my opinion, I think we have a time now. A time frame. So this is the video that shows the, subject, one of the subjects, likely KK maybe, running back. Remember also when that neighbor, this homeowner had spoken with people, and I always like to mention on both sides, and I spoke to both sides, and they both said the same thing to me. Really nice homeowner, really nice guy, pointed out the car across from his mailbox, also said, hey, in the video where you see the person running back, yeah, you can see allegedly the person like jumping the ditch. Okay, now what is the time frame of all this happening, right? And I think we have the best possible clues, right? I never want to get to, I know a lot of people say I'm going to solve this. Again, I don't have a big ego. I'm just trying to do the best I can with what I have. And again, sometimes I get things right. And of course, even after staring at this thing for 100, 200 hours, there's always something that kind of pops up and I'm like, oh wow, how did I miss that? Okay. And here's me just showing Nick Barris, and I know it's kind of dark. Actually, I can't see it when I put those on. But that's when subject run backs. And I'm going to try to work on a video on that. I want to try to time that run. Oh, and then, of course, at the very end, I always mention this because I really think this is important. After that person's done running, right here, and it's going to zoom in. So remember, Sebastian's home is just right here, right? Sebastian's home is, or the Stink Feet home right here. And, well, what do you know? You've got at the end of that run, you've got a light that's right there. But just before this video ends, we have a light that's activated, which is the Scout. Again, in the same exact spot. I know I've talked about this, but after all this finishing up, we have the Scout in a unique position where I think they're, in a position where they can see Kellen Ave and also where the vehicle is now. And of course, making sure a certain somebody gets back. And then the question is, we mentioned this on Friday, if this was going to be an outside abduction, why would the abductors go back to the home, right? Because remember, the door, it's, automatic lock. It's one of those key locks. So unless you know the code, once, if you had somehow convinced Sebastian to come out somehow, and you got him into the car, but then you're like, oh, well, I feel bad. I want to get his shoes or his phone or his Nintendo Switch. Let me go run back to the home. Well, how are they going to get back in? Because the door is now locked. We know they didn't come through the window, and that's it. So, again, that really then, what does that tell you? That this is likely an inside job. All right, now coming full circle. And it's so wild, and I showed you guys this on Friday, that the Scout between video 2 and video 3, after the car is now backed up, it is literally in the same exact position. So I think they were there literally they were in a unique position where they had a certain field of view from, Stafford towards the home, and then they can ski kind of.
The night he disappeared, is there anything?
Okay, so we're about to get to the new stuff. So I always like to play this because, again, it bothers me because the answer Chris gives and the way he answers it.
that you think about this video, or?
Sure. So there's a lot of speculations about that video that are floating on the internet. Okay, and that is exactly what it is. It's speculation.
And again, and it's just not something that that working with the few families I have, this would not be the attitude. This would be, unless they were trying to, if it was early days, and of course they didn't want that information getting out, it would kind of make sense. But of course they've continued to act like this well beyond the time that I think, at that point you'd probably want to start going, hey, there's some fishy stuff here. We need to figure this out, right? Because, nothing's happening. Sherry Kay, thank you so much for becoming a member. God bless you. Wonderful name. Hey Jude, membership. Thank you so much. Hey Jude. Lady Roses, membership. Thank you so much for the support. You guys are amazing. Sensei, my wonderful mod, gifted a Mob Crew membership, and Face of America. Thank you so much for the gifted memberships. Oops. And Face of America, that's a good name. Okay. All right, let's get to
Flashlight. I hate to say this, it's not. As much as we would love it to be one, it's not.
Okay.
I'm not going to go into details as far as where that video is shot from, but I can tell you, as the parents, we have seen the video from law enforcement, between local law enforcement, state law enforcement, some federal law enforcement.
And I know I've gone over it some more times, so I wanted to play this once, just for anybody that's not familiar. The new theory is that it's a garbage guy. It's a guy walking out his trash can, right, with either a headlamp or a flashlight, and he's trying to do it both. I don't know. Sounds ridiculous. And then it doesn't even, well, what's the other subject doing, right? Is that like his wife, his daughter, one of his kids, like escorting him out to walk the trash can out, right? And then on top of that, he just mentioned that 4 agencies, 2 of them, FBI, TBI, Sumner County, and local PD, they all have been studying this video. You would think someone would probably get fired if they couldn't have figured out to interview a neighbor and him being like, oh, yeah, that was me, walking out my trash can with my headlamp on, Sorry you guys wasted, all those resources, all these different agencies, and you guys couldn't figure out, one guy walking out his trash can.
And they have analyzed that video so many times over that everything that everybody is trying to assume is a flashlight, I hate to say this, it's not. As much as we would love it to be one, it's not.
Okay. Oh, and then I always have to mention, because the elephant in the room, right? They always talk about the lights, right? But what about this big elephant in the room, right? This, waiting for it here. This big thing, right? This big giant thing. Forget the other 2 lights, even though you got one staring at the car right now. What's going on with that? Have you ever heard Crispy ever entertain this car? I mean, I would think, working with other cases, if this was Candace Cooley, which was a homicide case, involving, sadly, her son. But before we had all the answers, if they had some kind of surveillance video that had something that big, they would be like, right? Hello? Okay. So one of the questions was about the timestamp. So I revealed this on Friday. So yeah, very weird. It froze on February 23rd. It was a Friday. Keep that in mind. It froze at 3:11. Now, I did research. This camera is vulnerable to hacks. And you don't even have to be nearby, because Sebastian, or the Proud Stinkfeet's home, was so close that they could have used a device called a Raspberry Pi, not the one you get at the grocery store, but it's a little device, but you can hook things up to it. It's usually used for non-nefarious reasons. It can do a lot of different things, but it can be, the wrong people have ill intentions. It can be used to hack surveillance systems. And you could get in there as an administrator, log in, just like if I was going to hack into your email account and get your login. Anyway, it's timestamps frozen from February 23rd all the way, coincidentally, the day after Rogers disappears. 24 hours go by. And on February 27th, the Tuesday after, Monday, it begins working again. So it was frozen for 4 days plus. Now, here's the important thing. Sorry, I got to take a sip. And then we're going to get to the new stuff. Looking up, doing research, because this camera, even though it's slightly an older system, it's still a more of a newer for its time at that time. But what's great is there's that beautiful thing called metadata. And in the metadata, so keep in mind, even though this date and timestamp, because I think they were, let's just say this was used for nefarious, they froze the timestamp, and that way, if this went to court, they could argue, well, how do we know this takes place on the on the morning of the 26th? Because the timestamp says differently, right? But in the metadata, and I looked this up through AI, as long as it wasn't tampered with, the metadata would actually show the real date and time. So, gotta love metadata. So, yep, they could go into the metadata and see the time, the date, and the GPS, all that good stuff. So, that's awesome. All right, now for the new stuff. Okay, now let me take a sip here. This was my thumbnail. Yeah, I love the metadata. Yeah, always comes in handy. All right, we got 1,500 people in here. That is so awesome. Thank you so much for the love and support. If you can, at the very least, just hit that like button. That helps out this channel so much. Real quick, before we get into this, I promise you, this is the big stuff for today's show. I just wanted to shout out Melissa H., Kayla, Kim O., Joseph, Michael, and Mirna, hopefully I pronounced that right, who sent in some Venmos and PayPals. This is over a couple of days of my last few lives. I apologize because sometimes I get PayPal, Venmo, and I just don't get the update until later in the day or something. Okay. As you can see here, we've got 2 timestamps up. This is very important to me. And I'm going to start reading chat a little bit more. But I apologize because I'm trying to rush through the first part of it. On the left is when the car, the 3 a.m. car, is now coming back down Killen. On the right is a timestamp that is facing the backyard of the Proudfoot home. Very important. So, let's just think about this, right? And remember, we're going to put all the stuff that we just kind of went over together. Keep in mind the motion light and everything, right? The timing of everything, right? So, here's the 3 a.m. car. Remember, it drives up Killen. For some reason, it just turns right around. Nobody knows what car this was. And look at the time, 2:59 and 34 seconds. Now, remember, I know most of you guys know, they were in the Navy. You know, Katie, super smart. So just think about the timing, right? So you're going to, let's say you do some premeditation all the way back Friday or before, but maybe Friday is when you start kind of doing dry runs and hacking and whatever. But the plan is 3 a.m. is when we're going to start it, right? Now, check this out. Look at the time. It is 2:59 and 35 seconds. Now, thanks to Silvers, we'll kind of show that in real time, or not real time, but kind of in the driver's perspective, right? So there's the timer, right? So think about it, because you know how like military people are. You know, they're on time, they're organized, right? We're going to do this abduction allegedly at 3 a.m. We're going to start it. And look at this. Sorry. Come on. So of course, I think they let a few people out between the home, but we're going to go back to this timestamp real quick here. Sorry, I thought that was a little shorter. So now, I think, my opinion, I think Crispy's there. And KK is ready with Sebastian. I think they move either between this yard or this yard, likely this yard. But remember whose home this is. Or actually, no, the home to the next to him. I'm sorry. Is the officer. Which means that car would have arrived at 3 a.m. on the dot. Right? Just think about how, again, my dad was in the military, and always very organized and timing. Very, very strict when it came down to, and always had plans and everything. Just very organized. Oh, thank you, Charlotte. Yeah, and this is just the beginning, right? So, of course, I wish I would have showed this after. But I think one of the reasons why... Okay, so this is what I want to show. So this is Silvers. God bless him. This is almost lined up to where that car was, but now we're in the car. Now, fortunately, because the time stamp runs out, but this just gives you an idea. Look at the timestamp where he's at, and he's driving south down Killen. Now, of course, it stopped, but just before the timestamp stopped, when he was up close by the house, it was 3:59 and 42 seconds. So he had 18 seconds. Plenty of time to get there right at 3 a.m. And then look at that. That's just a void right there. Black hole. You would let them out. Stop there. And then I talked about how I think one of the reasons why they didn't sit there, because they knew this was going to take, at least 5 minutes, and I think they were worried because this road, I've told you guys, even though 2 cars can get by, it's still kind of a narrow road. And I think they didn't want to be sitting here for 5 minutes waiting for everything to transpire, right? And or they did want to try to do the ditch run. One of the two theories. I think both would work. So now they let them out. So that's 3 a.m. Then, of course, the car triggers the headlight or triggers the motion light. So look at the time here. 3:06:51, right? And this was such a very interesting screenshot that we got. For those that don't know where this is coming from, so that is the Stink Feet home right there. And that is the home which has a part-time officer that worked for HPD. And there was allegedly a rumor going around that, because remember, Crispy was out of town a lot and was allegedly not allowed to be around Sebastian, allegedly. So, and there's also rumors that they were possibly swingers, allegedly. And there was rumors that Katie knew this guy, allegedly. So keep that in mind. And it's just so interesting that SF, who released a few screenshots, and then he let somebody else have the footage, and they showed the unredacted version, which then showed a huge red flag. But look at the time. Out of all the times to show a screenshot, 3:06:51 seconds, right? Because remember, this whole thing of him releasing this was to show, hey, look, there's no moving lights back here, right? But think about the timing. 3:06:51 seconds. Why not show 3 a.m.? Why not show, remember the timestamp stuck at 3:11? Why not show 3:11? They show 3:06:51 seconds. I thought that was very interesting, right? If you kind of get a little deeper into it. Then
it's very vague, but then
Then you think about how much time passed with everything that went on with what I just showed you with the lights and everything, right? With the abduction.
follows subject 1 off screen.
So we have the car arriving at 3 a.m. We know there's an incident with the motion light where it gets activated. So at least 2 minutes go by with that ordeal. It would take maybe at least 30 seconds to a minute, maybe 30 seconds to let the passengers out, 1 or 2, to go collect Sebastian. Then the car goes, sets it off, sets the motion light off, maybe has to wait 2 minutes while they're moving. Then now the car's backed up. If you think about the time frame, this probably only took about 5 to 6 minutes, right? When it comes down to it.
It's a short time later, and it's very vague, but then you see one of the subjects moving quickly back through the common area.
So then, on top of that, we get the unredacted version because some guy, God bless his heart, I believe in transparency. I don't know why you had to blur this out. Now, of course, I made a mistake, and I thought this was her window when this first came out because it was just so damn bright. I'm like, I couldn't imagine it being across the street, but I was wrong. But I was half right anyway. So keep in mind, and I'll come back to this here in just a second. And then I'm going to read chat here. So this is taken at 3:06, basically almost 3:07, right? We have multiple lights on, but the light I'm most interested in, I mean, this one's interesting as well, but this one is the most interesting. because that is Katie's bedroom. She has 2 windows in the backyard. Now they have the ones where they're like the shutters, right? But this one clearly, light is on in her bedroom. So why is that light on? And then another screenshot surfaced, which didn't have the timestamp, but this is the moon. It was a crescent waxing moon, which is actually basically almost a whole moon, right? Or a whole moon, a full moon. Now, we're looking west, which means the moon is going to be, of course, now going down the horizon. But that can give us, obviously you can type in a bunch of stuff, date and time and where the moon would be, and you can kind of get an idea of the time. So with it being about 30% of the horizon, that's approximately 30%, that puts us around 4 to 5 a.m., right? Now, why I think this is important is because in this screenshot, there's something different. And that is, notice we have the light here. It's a little vague. We have the light here. But guess what? We don't have Katie's bedroom's light on anymore. Remember, this is also her window, but that one's clearly shut all the way. So we have the 2 other lights, but no Katie light on anymore at 5 a.m. And look at the difference when we do a daytime shot and switch to that 306, 307. Boom. That is Katie's bedroom right there. Light totally on. So again, I'm going to read chat here in a second. And I kind of went over how their windows are set up. They have this weird, or not weird, but they have the blinds, right? So you could easily, and they're in quadrants, but you can easily just, close one up. Maybe forgot about closing the others. Now I got a few more things, so we're not done yet, but let me know, what do you guys think about this? If you think about it with the motion sensor, you break down what Nick Bear said a short time later. He's talking about whatever happened likely within minutes. And I think it's very fascinating that the screenshot we get is 3:06 and 51 seconds, right? Isn't that a little suspicious? Almost like they did that right after everything had just finished up, right? That's my theory on this. And again, how this guy even got this footage, because this is an officer, who works for HPD, Henderson PD. It's very interesting. It actually raises more red flags that maybe they knew more and they're trying to cover. But yeah, what do you guys think? Now, I got a little bit more, but I think that timing, considering their military, the fact that that car is going to show up right where we believe it would be, right at 3 a.m. on the dot, and then it appears that whatever finishes around 3:06, and it lines up with, they have to wait for the motion light sensor. Nick Bear says, short time later. I think there's a lot of stuff that connects, and there's more. That's right. If you remember Scream 1, there's more, baby. But yeah. Face of Mary, you think I'm over the bullseye. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. But there is more. I mean, that's the big part, but there's a little bit more. I do got to use the restroom, guys. I'm sorry. So what I'm going to do real quick.
Caught, but I understand.
Okay. I've got.
Probably.
Okay.
Like
Give me
Are you positive?
less than a minute, guys.
I can't.
1 minute.
I'm
I got to use the restroom real quick.
So bad.
How do you know what clothes he was wearing?
The clothes that we described are the ones I saw him in when he went to bed.
That morning, you woke up at 6 o'clock. Is that the normal time you wake up?
Have experienced this
Yes,
past
ma'am.
year with so many.
Are you a heavy
questions
sleeper?
Still,
Off and on.
It's horrific, to be honest with you.
Do you take any?
I don't know how to describe what it feels like to watch the news, to go hang flyers in every store, every business, every place that you go to, and still find that some people don't even know about it. To hear that there might be a lead,
Okay.
and
Whew.
then just to sit there and
Sorry, guys.
have to wait.
Okay. Oh yeah, if we get 60 more. Yeah, let's try to get 1,000 likes, guys. Let's do this. All right, I got a couple more things to go over. Oh my gosh. Just wait. This is the we did the appetizer, we did the main course. Here is the dessert. So, and oh my gosh, this is wild. Oh, oops, I got this full video. If you went to bed, KK, why were your bed right? Exactly. Yeah. At 3:06. Yeah, the lights are on. The lights are on. Okay. All right. Nancy Grace. We're going to add in a few things from Nancy Grace. Oh my God. She was just, I wish she had a lot of this information back when she did that interview. Oh my God. She would have probably tore these people apart. Okay. All right. We got about 20 minutes. I'll try to get some chat. I know I keep saying I want to read chat.
Motion censored. We have lights.
Were they on that night?
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Were they on that night? So the lights were out the whole night?
Yes, ma'am. We don't typically turn the floodlights on.
Okay, let me back this up one more time. I really want you guys to understand this context here. Nancy Grace is going to ask them about lights around the house, right? Now, I think I finally kind of understand why Katie said some of this stuff. But let's just check this out. So Nancy Grace is going to ask about the lights. Now, of course, Katie, because I know what she's thinking. She's thinking ahead, because I think she's smarter out of the two between Crispy.
Motion censored. We have lights.
Were they on that night?
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Were they on that night? So the lights were out the whole night?
Yes, ma'am. We don't typically turn the floodlights on.
Were there any lights outside the house on at all?
Just my little solar lights that we have in the garden.
There's
Yep.
2 lights on the side of the house above the garage that are on at all times.
Oh, yeah, those are on.
Oh, there's a light above the garage that's on at all times?
There's 2. Yes, ma'am.
So I think Katie was trying to keep this whole lights thing and playing dumb a little bit. And then I think Crispy was kind of like, well, we got the neighbor that already knows that these lights are on. And so he kind of comes forward. But again, then also, this also begs the question, well, how does he know? He's supposed to have been gone for like a month, right? So this also begs the question, like, she doesn't know, but yet he knows the answer, yet she's the one that's supposed to be home. doing chores, coming back, forth, whatever. Yet Crispy is the one supposed to be out of town and, can't be around Sebastian, allegedly. So, again, two major red flags. But watch. This is what I finally I had an idea of what she was trying to get to with Nancy, I'm talking about. But this is genius.
Okay, so those lights were on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is because I heard you say earlier, Mr. Proudfoot, that your neighbors have been very, very forthcoming with their Ring camera info. And I was trying to determine if any lights were on, what, if anything, they may have caught, but I understand.
Because she knows, yes, because obviously before they even did this interview, obviously she does her homework. She has a team. They look up, obviously do research. So she knew that there was a camera pointed directly at their home, which we are looking at right now. There's a garbage truck that's blocking a lot of it. But what you're seeing right here is the two big floodlights on the side of the home, right? So, because I know where she's going to. We'll get to it here in a minute. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. And good to see you, Sharon. I wish I could shout everybody out, but we got 1,600 in here. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day.
Stand from.
Now watch where she's going with this. One, as I told you before, if Sebastian, because remember the whole theory for the longest time is he went out the front door, right? He went out the front door. Well, there's two directions to go. Right? You're either going north or south. Right now on our screen, left is north, right is south, right? You got two directions to go. You go outdoor. Okay? He goes north, left. Well, he's going to interfere with those floodlights. Even if he's, a little tiny shadow, if he goes left, he's likely going to disturb some kind of light source, and you're going to see him. Oh my God, no way. There's a camera on the other side in the backyard. That's right. That is also running. And this light, not this light here. This light is actually the homeowner's porch. It's very bright. That has the Ring camera that is looking at us and the home. This light source here, and these two lights that we originally thought were car lights, but it's actually the two floodlights, and that is the bulbs reflecting off like some kind of, what did we figure it out? It was some kind of camper top that's very reflective. This light down here is the driveway. This is, I believe, just the two headlights, because the garage light is right here and it's pointed down. So guess what happens? Oh, well. Not only do we have the chances of, if he crosses and goes north, on the other side, we could see it, like most likely. We also have a camera on the other side that also gives us another advantage of knowing if light gets disturbed. So, in my opinion, there's like a 99% chance that he's not getting past. He didn't go north, right? And this is what Nancy is trying to get to. But there's more. Yes, the threes. Oh my God, the threes. Yes. Promise you. We've got about 15 minutes.
Front. Do any of your neighbors' Ring cams point toward your house? Could they pick that up?
They do, but it's so dark that they can only see it. After it gets so dark at night, they can only see certain things where there's light.
And yeah, if he goes north, I'm sure there's there's always a chance of anything. I highly doubt it, but if he's going north, you got camera on both sides where there's likely some kind of, you would see a disturbance in the light.
I thought there were the two lights on.
Oh, yeah. You got to love Nancy. Because you can tell where Nancy's going with this.
Front. Do any of your neighbors' ring cams point toward your house? Could they pick that up?
They do, but it's so dark that they can only see it after it gets so dark at night. They can only see certain things where there's light.
I thought there were the two lights on
the opposite side of the house.
So, and the reason why she says opposite is, and I accidentally cut the first part of it, but she asked where Sebastian's bedroom's at, and his bedroom is located kind of right here at the front of the house. So this is Sebastian's bedroom. It's just a one window right here. No window on the back. It's just one window. So this is Sebastian's bedroom, right? So we've got the floodlights here. Obviously, if he goes, he's going to disturb those lights. Now, the other side is a different question, but you can see where Nancy's getting to this, right? And then I love how she says, no, it's like on the opposite side, like it's like it's in the back of the home or something, right? But no, this is just important because if he comes out the door, he's got 50-50 chance or direction he's going. He's either going to go north or he's going to go south, right? But I love how she answers that in a way that it makes it sound like, oh, no, well, it's not going to be any help.
Do any of your neighbors' ring cams point toward your house? Could they pick that up?
They do, but it's so dark that they can only see it. After it gets so dark at night, they can only see certain things where there's light.
I thought there were the two lights on
the opposite side of the house.
So again, that's why she says opposite, because his bedroom's here. Okay, a little bit more.
Okay. Can we
So you can tell she's, because she's working. She's doing her thing.
talk about lights on
the opposite side.
Oops. Okay. Now let's go back more full circle. So we know the phone call. Remember the 9 o'clock to midnight phone call, and they go to bed. And if you guys know, remember I built a massive timeline. So for those that don't know, allegedly Silvers had spoke to somebody originally back in the day when he went there, and he said that he was told that Crispy had told others allegedly that he had arrived there at 5:15 a.m. Now keep in mind the sun doesn't come up. Remember, it's February. Sun's not going to come up till like 6:30, and I don't think they start till 7 a.m. So that is very interesting because if you think about it, the abduction happened at 3 a.m. Well, if he got back at 5:15 and he had some people to vouch for him, well, there's no way he could drive that 3.5 hour drive because, the abduction happened at 3, so I think that could be a story that he was trying to kind of verify or has like an alibi, right? Also, let's not forget, remember, right after midnight, he gets off the phone. Well, the abduction happens allegedly at 3 a.m. Remember, even though he says 3 hours and 37 minutes, because it's nighttime, it doesn't take exactly 3 hours and 37 minutes. You can get there, obviously, depending on your speed. I think Silver said he did it in less than 3 hours. So keep that in mind.
No, man. We went to bed around the same time because we were on the phone together.
And
He was not
Work
home.
please
vehicle in the
excuse.
driveway at the time as well.
Please
but
excuse any of my questions.
hasn't
I'm
moved.
simply
We can't-
trying to find
we
out
can't give
more
out
about that night.
information
Do you
without
two sleep in the same
permission from our
bedroom?
work.
Oh, my audio. Okay, refresh. It should be better now. I think it's because I've got 2,000 people in here and it's just kind of bouncing around here. Okay, maybe I better finish up. Let me know in chat. Yeah, I'm getting to the point with Nancy. She's basically, kind of figuring out like, hey, you've got cameras facing the house, you've got lights on, and she's basically saying what I've just kind of pointed out. Like, well, how do you not see him coming out? Like, you've got cameras, but yet you've got floodlights, and that's kind of where she's going with that.
He wasn't actually
I don't
in the home
understand
at
that.
all
What?
that weekend.
Oh,
No, man. We went to bed around the same time because we were on the phone together.
it's in and
And
out.
He was not home.
Oh. Oh no, that sucks. There's two audios playing at once. Uh-oh. Fine here. Yeah, let me know. Let me know now, because it's now saying it just went back to normal. Yeah, it says excellent connection. Let me know. Yeah, it should fix itself now. Keep in mind, when I read chat, you're like kind of like a couple minutes or like a minute behind. So I'm reading the stuff that's... Okay, it's fine now. Okay. All right. Yeah, we're going to finish up then.
Vehicle in the
Excuse.
driveway at the time as well.
Please
but
excuse any of my questions.
hasn't
I'm
moved.
simply
We can't-
trying to find
we
out
can't give
more
out
about that night. Do you two
without
sleep in the same?
Oh,
Please
vehicle in the
excuse.
driveway at the time as well.
Please
but
excuse any of my questions.
Oh, no.
Simply
we can't-
trying to find out
can't give
more
out
about that night. Do you two
without
sit
from our
room?
work.
He wasn't
I
actually
don't
in the home
understand
at
that.
all
What?
that weekend.
Oh,
About the
you were
make
not
and model.
home.
My house. But my
Oh,
wife's
here it is. Okay.
boss and another coworker.
Okay, we're gonna finish up here. Yeah, no, that audio, I screwed up. I had a video left in my player. I know what I did. I screwed up right there. Dang it.
In the house, and we are upgrading our security system.
Yeah.
But she said
Now I've heard.
So we played this before, where Crispy was talking about the invisible Ring camera doorbell that existed but never existed. If you haven't heard it, it's so funny.
doesn't ring the doorbell.
So let me play this, because this is the last thing I want to mention.
Yeah, and then she was, "Why wasn't it on your property?" Well, hold on. She started up a dare to.
So context is one of the former PIs, I don't know if this is Chloe or Heather, shows up at his house. He's upset. She's taking pictures of his home, and here's his conversation. Here's his version of events.
Later to my house. Walks up to the front porch, doesn't ring the doorbell. If she did, no, well, it never rang because we didn't have one. So,
Right.
but my wife's boss and another coworker are in the house, and we are upgrading our security system.
Yeah.
But she said,
Now I've heard so much back and forth.
So if you missed it, she mentions that he talks about, well, she didn't ring the door camera. She never rang the doorbell. But, well, there is no doorbell to ring. And he tripped himself, because that likely means they had a Ring camera with the doorbell on it. And they had obviously gotten rid of that just before Sebastian disappeared, they had surveillance in their home. And this is where I'm going to get to, and then we'll finish up just in case, because I know. But listen to what she says here, and listen to the answer of Katie.
All that would have given us an idea or a clue.
Wait, let me back that up just a little bit.
Never rang because we didn't have one. So.
Right.
But my wife's boss and another coworker in the house, and we are upgrading our security system.
Yeah.
But she said,
Now, I have heard so much back and forth, just speculation on whether or not
Okay, let me ask you a couple of questions regarding the doors. Do you have any home surveillance, anything at all that would have given us an idea or a clue if the door had been opened or not, or a window?
Not directly from our house.
Okay.
Well, then from where?
That's what we were hoping that neighborhood Ring cameras and may have picked something up.
Gotcha. I want to go back to that night. You said you were up till... Are you positive?
I'm positive.
How do you know what clothes he was wearing?
The clothes that we described are the ones I saw him in when he went to bed.
That morning, you woke up at 6 o'clock. Is that the...
Okay.
No.
never rang because
Speculation on whether or not
all that would have given us an idea or a clue if the door had been opened or not, or a window?
Not directly from our house.
So, hopefully if you can hear me, yeah, audio. Some people are saying it's weird, so I might finish up here. That sucks. It says it's fine. I had a couple of more things, but if you can't hear me, Nancy says, did you have any cameras? And if so, did it capture anything in the home or outside the home? It's basically asking if they had surveillance. And her question was very interesting, the way she worded it.
All that would have given us an idea or a clue if the door had been opened or not, or a window?
Not directly from our house.
Well, then from where?
That's what we were hoping that neighborhood Ring cameras and may have picked something up.
Gotcha. I want to go back.
So that's a bummer. I'll have to fix that. And I'm sorry, guys. Some people are saying it's better, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe it could just be my routers being weird, just bad timing. So we'll finish up here. I did have a couple things I wanted to play at the end here to finalize, but anyway, the main thing is, at least for this live, the point is, trying to get to it. Should be right there. Is the fact that this car arrives at around 3 a.m. These guys clearly were in the Navy, organized, premeditate. I think there's a lot of premeditation stuff here. And then the fact that we have this screenshot that was released at 3:06 and 51 seconds, which, if you think about the time difference between the lights and everything going on, right? Where we have motion lights going off and on, which would take a few minutes, and obviously them moving back and forth. I think this probably happened within 5 to 6 minutes, and go figure. What are the odds? We get this 3:06:51 seconds. So I don't think they were trolling. No, I did show that I was having some issues. So I do apologize. I did see one of my videos accidentally. But let me just quickly thank chat before we go. I do have thank you so much, Angel of Light. That means so much for the $10 super chat. Again, I literally spent like 4 or 6 hours preparing for this live show. Again, that's why I don't go live every day, because your time to me is important, and so I spend as much time. So that really helps out so much. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Hey, Jude, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. And, of course, for the gifted memberships earlier. It really helps me out, guys. Thank you so much. If by chance you sound like a PayPal or Venmo, I'll try to thank you in the next live. But I'm going to bounce out because it sounds like it's... Yeah, I probably need to reset my PC. Again, I did a lot. Again, just to show you guys behind the scenes. And I'm going to do a pet outro. I have a pet outro ready for you guys before we leave, but... Actually, this will probably really... So, yeah, if you want to see the madness... again, this is the madness. I know it doesn't look like a lot if you're not familiar with this stuff, but... I mean, these are... This is what I do before every show. And again, you're just seeing like... Until I zoom in, but... That is what I like to do before every show, is literally put something together that's cohesive. Does it work every time? No, but... I try to do my best. But thank you so much for the love and support. I'm going to bounce out. I'm going to do the pet outro for my members. If you're a member or a Patreon, if you haven't sent a pet picture in, you can send it to me. With that, I'm sorry, I wanted to end, with a nice little appetite or dessert, whatever you want to call it. But seems like we have some internet issues, so I'm going to close it out. But thank you to my mods, as always. God bless you guys. And we'll be back Wednesday. Patreons, I'm working on something for you guys as well. But again, special shout out to those, again, that support the channel. It really, this is my job. So, that's no dessert. Yeah. Apologize. We'll save it for the next live show. All right, guys, I'm going to play a pet outro, and we'll be back Wednesday for the live show, and I'll try to get something for the members of Patreons tomorrow or Wednesday morning. So, thank you so much. I'm sorry, I was going to get to chat, but I don't know if my router could be messing up. So, with that, I'm going to end. So, I love you guys.
All right, hush. Hold your breath and feel the tension. Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell. I wanna taste consumption. Breathe faster to waste oxygen. Hear the children sing aloud. It's music till the wick burns out. Be carefree lately, yeah. Just kicking up daisies. Got one too many quarters in my pockets. Count 'em like the 4-leaf clovers in my locket. Untied laces, yeah. Just tripping on days.